For my CSD 463 intervention procedures and speech and language pathology class, I decided to focus on the early language milestone scale, specifically the second edition. And this is something that interests me as I enter into potential grad school, and I thought it would be fun to kind of look at different tools and technologies that are used within speech and language pathology, specifically at a lower level, as I'm really interested in working in either preschool or elementary level building. I really enjoy working with kids, and I'm in the special education program right now, so I thought it would be fun to kind of see the different techniques that are used at a younger age before they come into the elementary level. So the ELM scale is specifically it's a test that it has 43 different items, and it kind of tests the auditory expressive, auditory receptive, and the visual aspects of a child's behavior and speech. So it kind of helps to detect language impairments that young students have, specifically under the age of 3 years old, but it doesn't necessarily lead to specific development diagnoses. And James Copeland is actually the publisher of this ELM scale, and he published it in 1993. It's specifically for the English language. It's not available for other languages. And as I said before, it's for students under the age of 3, but students who fall within the functional level are also available to take this test. So people that are able to administer the ELM scale is healthcare providers, childhood providers, and early childhood specialists, and the test only takes about 1 to 10 minutes, so it's very quick. This is the recording form that is used when the ELM test is given. So the 3 specific categories that are in the ELM scale are auditory expressive, auditory receptive, and visual. So these are 3 categories that are kind of looked at within the child's behavior and communication levels. So the results come specifically from what the parents report they see their kids doing, and the examiner's observations that are done, and the direct testing that is done during the ELM. So there's 2 recording methods, which are the pass-fail method and the points scoring method. So these are the pass-fail method. It yields a rating for the test as a whole. So that's basically they either pass or they fail. And then the point scoring method puts the child into different levels. So it shows the different percentile values that they scored on the test. It shows the standard scores, and kind of it compares them to peers that are students that are their equal level. So it kind of shows where they fall within different categories. So to talk about the 3 specific categories that are on the ELM scale, the first one is auditory expressive, and this kind of focuses on content and intelligibility. So what this means is it focuses on the child's vocalization skills. So the words spoken, someone that's a stranger to the child, can they understand them half the time, 3/4 the time, all the time? What does their word bank look like? How many words are they able to speak clearly? So examples of this is they kind of, for the auditory part of the ELM scale, they look at the child's, can they laugh? Do they laugh? Are they able to say mama and dada? Again, like I said, understand by strangers and the levels they can understand. Are they able to have conversations or just 2-word sentences at this time of testing? The second category is auditory receptive. So this kind of focuses more on sounds and words. So can the child point to a named object? So if a parent or the tester says an object, can the child point? So can they respond back to a specific word or object? Also, does their body language show their awareness of sounds around them? So if they hear a voice, do they turn their head? Do their eyes open? Are they able to kind of point to objects that are described by the way you use them? So these are different things that are tested in the auditory receptive section. The third section is the visual section. So this kind of focuses on more visual cues of a child. So are they able to show emotion through facial expressions in addition to gestures? So do they point at objects, or Are they able to smile or recognize their parents? What are the different facial expressions that they show? If they see their mom or dad smiling, do they respond to those facial expressions? So those are the 3 sections that are tested within the ELM scale. So here I've posted 2 different examples of the ELM scale. So the first one is James Copeland's, who is the publisher of the ELM scale. So he came up with this scale, and he kind of goes through and talks about his different testing and how the testing works. So that is a very useful thing. I think this would be a great way to show a parent or a teacher of some sort how to use the ELM scale, how it works, and how the results come about. So how specifically, what's the purpose behind the ELM scale, and what can it do to help you if you think that your children are struggling with language at a young age. And the second one kind of goes through the different cues and the aspects of where a child should be at ages 1, 2, and 3, and even a little older. It kind of talks about their social cues, their visual and expressive and receptive responses in terms of how they react and how they try to attempt speaking. So to improve language development, I think it's really important to understand how we can help a student to focus on their language and encourage them to keep speaking and communicating no matter how little or strong their speaking is. So a few things that you can do to help your child's language or to communicate to a parent how they can help their child improve their language development is check child's ability to hear. Is the child able to hear? Do they have ear infections often? How often? If they're often, they need to be checked out because there could be permanent damage, specifically leading to hearing impairments, which would affect language development. Reinforce communication attempts. So when your child or student makes an attempt at communicating, make sure you make eye contact and reinforce their communication. Another thing is talking while you do things. So specifically, if you're writing, you can say, oh, this is Sam's pencil, or while you're fixing their hair, Sam's hair, so that they can hear and kind of connect different words and phrases with images. Another thing is use clear speech for them. So you can't always speak as fast as you do with an adult. It takes slower and smaller words for them to understand. So using smaller words and short sentences and phrases is really helpful for students or young children and students because they are able to imitate it and verbalize it. Another thing that's extremely important is show interest in their speech. This is similar to what I said earlier, but they should be able to feel that you care about their speech and their attempts at communicating with you. That shows that they are doing the best they can, that they are communicating somewhat, and it will encourage them to continue in the future and to keep working on that. Lastly, something that really will help improve language development is connecting new vocab through reading and connecting kind of pictures with objects. And as you read, point to things and say, this is a hat, red hat, and connecting words with certain images so that the student can have a good solid image in their head for connecting a word with a specific image. And these are the resources that I used for my entire PowerPoint. So that's all I have.